How to make the right choice. In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 simple ways to make better decisions. Hi, my name is John and I'm from Business Focus, helping your business achieve your goals. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. How to make the right choice. Now, there are 3 things that you need to know or understand before making the right choice. First is identifying the different alternatives, or meaning choices. Choices are always important. Having at least 3 or more is preferred. 1 is too few. 10 is too much. So 3 is ideal. So always have at least 3 choices in making any decisions. Second is identifying, based on those alternatives, what are the different outcomes or state of natures. Now, state of natures could have at least 2 or more outcomes. So it would vary depending on the situation. And third is identifying the circumstances that you're making your decision. So let's take a look here as an example to illustrate to make the right choice. So let's say here you have earned your savings, enough savings, and you want to invest on, let's say, a company or a stock, and you don't know which one to choose from. And then an advisor tells you, here we have 3 companies here that you can invest in. So let's say in company A, if you invest here, sorry, wrong spelling. So if your company A, if you invest here, if you invest all your money, you will earn an extra 100,000. Then on the other hand, if you invest here, the risk here is you might lose 50,000. Okay. Then second option here, if you invest on company B, if you invest your money here, you might earn some money, but not as much. Let's say 50,000. Then on the other hand, if you invest here, there's a chance that you might lose your money. Let's say as much as 30,000. And finally, if you invest on company C, if you invest here, you only generate or have a return of 10,000. Then you might lose as much as 10,000 as well. So questioning which company should you invest in, given the different alternatives, the different state of nature. Now, the third part is critical here. Under what circumstances are you making your decision? So first scenario that we'll be using here is it's based on uncertainty here. Meaning you don't know the outcome is. You're uncertain what the outcome is because you don't have the necessary information to make the decision. We always encounter these types of scenarios, so you have to make the most of the circumstances. So how do you make the right choice or the best decision? So there are 3 viable options here. So the first here is under the Maximin Criteria, meaning you're a risk taker, an optimistic type of person. So when you say a maximax decision making, under uncertain circumstances, you look at the different state of nature. So you have favorable and unfavorable. And a maximax or optimistic type of person, you always look at the best possible case. So you tend to look at the favorable side, and under the favorable, you tend to select the best choice or the best outcome. So since you want to maximize your return here, so it's not happening. There you go. So out of the 3 different outcomes for favorable, you have 100, 50,000, and 10,000. So Maximax tends to favor the highest or best possible outcome. In this case, 100,000 is the best choice here. So that would be company A. Now, for Maximin Criteria, it's the complete opposite. So you're a risk averse. So you're a pessimist type of person. So given the different state of nature here, tend to look at the unfavorable outcome. So you're risk averse. And you select based on the unfavorable outcome here. Copy and select. Copy and paste. Okay, so given those different scenarios, which is the best outcome? Now take note, those are negative outcomes. So you lose negative 10,000, negative 30, and negative 50. Now what is the best case in this scenario? So the best case here is that would net you with the least amount of loss. So that would be negative 10,000. So that would be company C. So the third criteria now, the third example here is the plus or equally likely. You're simply neither an optimistic, neither a pessimistic type of person. So what do? You typically average the different outcomes based on each alternative. So type in average, and then select the two outcomes, and you get 25,000. So we do the same for the other two alternatives. So you have 0, 10,000, and 25. Now given those three, the best outcome here is by selecting the highest return. So in this case, it's company A. So as you can see here, given the criteria under uncertainty, using the three different scenarios, it shows you have different options here based on the different perspective. Whether your personality dictates you're a risk taker or risk averse or somewhere in between. Next we have here is the second criteria. So under uncertain outcomes or under uncertain criteria, next is we have risk. Risk is typically associated with probability, so we have to assign one. So in this case, let's assume it's 0.7, the likelihood that unfavorable outcome will occur. Then for unfavorable, it's 0.3. Take note that in probabilities, make sure that no matter how many outcomes that you have, all probabilities should be equal to 1. Right? So how do we determine that? How do we assess or use the criteria of risk to determine the best outcome? We use the EMV or expected monetary value as our basis for making our best decision under risk. So how do we determine that? We simply multiply the individual alternatives outcome to its corresponding probability and add to the other outcomes or how many outcomes that you have here. So let me show you here as an example. So for under alternative A, which is company A, so we multiply favorable outcome, which is 100,000, multiply to its corresponding probability, which is 0.7, close parentheses. Then we add the second outcome, which is unfavorable. So that's negative 50,000 times 0.3, then close parentheses, then press enter. So you have 55,000. Now you can copy and paste the rest, but you'll get different values. So you have to lock the cells for the probability. So select the probabilities and press F4 for 0.7, then for 0.3, press F4 again. So then you can copy and paste the rest. So under this criteria, you have this different outcomes. So how do you determine which one is the best outcome? You go back to the objective of the scenario again. Since you're investing money here, your goal here is to maximize your return. So you want to choose the highest EMV. In this case, which is 55,000. So under risk, company A is the best option. And that's for risk. Next is under the criteria or making decision under the premise of certainty. So certainty is assuming you have perfect information, you know the different outcomes is. Question here is how much are you willing to pay for that perfect information? Now to determine that, you need two things. First is determine the expected value with perfect information. Then you subtract it with the maximum EMV or expected monetary value. So let's solve first how to determine the expected value of perfect information. So we're assuming here we get perfect information from the different outcomes. So it's similar to how you solve your EMV with a slight difference. So for favorable outcomes, so with perfect information, we already determined the different outcomes. So best outcome is netting 100,000. So we multiply that with the corresponding probability. Then add the second state of nature. In this case is unfavorable. And for the best outcome for unfavorable is negative 10,000. Multiply that to 0.3 and you get 67,000. So that's your expected value of with perfect information. Now next is how do you determine the maximum or highest EMV, which you already did in the previous scenario. So 55,000 is your maximum EMV here. So we simply subtract 67,000 with 55,000 and you get 12,000. So what does this 12,000 signify? So this 12,000 signify that this is how much you're willing to pay for that perfect information. Sorry, let me just adjust the values here. Okay. So the expected value of perfect information is 12,000. So meaning this is how much you're willing to pay for perfect information. Anything beyond that would be too costly. So it's not worth it. Okay? You've now reached the end of the video. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and hit the like button. For more guides, tutorials, and tips, you can check out my other videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.